أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم يا بني إسرائيل اذكروا نعمتي التي أنعمت عليكم وأني فضلتكم على العالمين. O children of Israel, remember my favor that I have bestowed upon you, and that I preferred you over the worlds. Earlier in Ayah 40, we learned that by reminding ni'mah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala towards the Bani Israel, the ni'mah of religion, that they were specially guided by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by sending the prophets and the book. By reminding the ni'mah, they were advised to fulfill their promise, to believe in the final prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and the final book Al-Quran. They were given advice, admonition, some tips as well, that they can address their arrogance, seeking help of Allah through sabr and salah. Exactly the same advice has been given to Ummat Muslimah, which is now the chosen best ummah, to seek help through sabr and salah. In Suratul Baqarah we learn, O you who have believed, seek help through patience and prayer. Indeed, Allah is with the patient. The honor always comes with the responsibility. And to fulfill the responsibility, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us the key that seek help through sabr and salah. Now in this ayah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala again reminds them of ni'mah of His towards them. And moreover, He mentions, Anni faddaltukum alal alameen, and that I preferred you over the worlds. What is fadl? Favor, extra favor, which a person does not deserve, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, His generosity that He gives him. Fadl over them was the book of Allah, the prophets which were sent to them, while others were not favored that way. Just like we have book of Allah in our hands, and we have been favored even more, as our book Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala Himself preserved it. Alhamdulillah. Another fadl of Allah, which was the result of continuous sending of the prophets towards them, who were reminding again and again through the book the concept of Tawheed, that the concept of Tawheed did not get fully corrupted in them, while all other nations of their time went corrupted with this basic concept as well. This again was a great favor of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala upon them which they didn't deserved. But all this fadl demanded from them to fulfill their responsibility of being ambassadors of Dinul Haq. Just like now we are honored, chosen nation with the same responsibility. Kuntum khayra ummatin ukhrijat linnas. You are the best nation produced as an example for mankind. You enjoin what is right and forbid what is wrong, and believe in Allah. But if a nation or a person who is given the honor and he do not fulfill his responsibility, then the same honor causes disgrace for the person. واتقوا يوما لا تجزي نفس عن نفس شيئا ولا يقبل منها شفاعة ولا يؤخذ منها عدل ولا هم ينصرون. And fear a day when no soul will suffice for another soul at all, nor will intercession be accepted from it, nor will compensation be taken from it, nor they will be aided. وَاتَّقُوا يَوْمًا, fear the day. So even though some have been favored in some ways in the worldly life, but fear the day, nothing is going to help them. When people are honored, favored by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then instead of being grateful, they start thinking highly of themselves, as if they are special and should be treated always special treatment. This was the problem with Bani Israel as well. So their concept of akhirah went quite corrupted. We learn in another ayah, and they say, Never will the fire touch us except for a few days. We should be very clear on the concept of akhirah and shouldn't be affected by the same disease which Bani Israel had. That we start thinking that yes, because we are Muslims or of the Ummah Muhammad, then instead of being grateful and dutiful, doing our job, we become hopeful foolishly that yes, we will be forgiven anyway. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us the same message as well. O you who have believed, spend from that which we have provided for you, before there comes a day in which there is no exchange, and no friendship, and no intercession, and the disbelievers, they are the wrongdoers. If the concept of Akhirah goes corrupted in our minds and hearts, then we will not be living by the book of Allah. Disobedience of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will become very easy on us, as we do not fear the consequences in this case. وَاتَّقُوا يَوْمًا لَا تَجْزِي نَفْسٌ عَن نَفْسٍ, and fear a day when no soul will suffice for another soul at all. Nafsun an nafsin, any person for any person. Nafsun has got the tanween indicating the indefinite, which gives the meaning of any soul. So no one will be helpful. Shay'an, in any form. Father will not take his son's wrongdoings to save his son, and no one will. Like we learn in the Quran, on the day a man will flee from his brother, and his mother, and his father, and his wife, and his children. No relations, status, nationality, race, nothing is gonna help. Narrated by Abu Huraira. When Allah revealed the verse, warn your nearest kinsman, Allah's Messenger Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam got up and said, O people of Quraysh, by yourselves, as I cannot save you from Allah's punishment. O Bani Abd Manaf, I cannot save you from Allah's punishment. O Safiya, aunt of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, I cannot save you from Allah's punishment. O Fatima bint Muhammad, ask anything from my wealth, but I cannot save you from Allah's punishment. واتقوا يوما لا تجزي نفس عن نفس شيئا ولا يقبل منها شفاعة. And fear a day when no soul will suffice for another soul at all, nor will intercession be accepted from it. The word shafa'ah from shafr, meaning even, like even numbers, which always come in pairs, that one is being helped by another with the kind of a request. Like a person applies for a job and he is very much able and deserving for the job, and someone else also describes him to be a very hard-working person. So the employer must be happy with having him. This request is a good form of intercession. But on the other hand, if a person is not qualified for some job, but yet is being given the job as some other person due to his status or anything, his request is there. This is a bad form of intercession. But on the day of judgment, both forms of intercession would be missing. The only thing which can save us is Allah's mercy for those who deserve it, as no one will be able enough to enter Jannah based on his own deeds. So Allah's mercy will cause so, and this mercy will be in different forms, and one of the form is intercession. Like we learn in Ayatul Kursi, Man zalladhi yashfa'u indahu illa bi'idhnih. So who can intercede with him except by his leave? So the intercession will be only for those who Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has permitted, that yes, for them there will be intercession taking place. And the one who will intercede is also by permission of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that yes, this person will intercede for such and such, honoring this person due to him being a muhsin, those who do the righteousness with excellence. And when the intercession will be taken place, that will intercession for the person be there after he has taken some punishment in the hellfire, or either he will be interceded before he goes to face his punishment, so he has been saved from the fire. In short, we can say there is no form of intercession for anyone but whom Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wills to save. وَلَا يُؤْخَذُ مِنْهَا عَدْلٌ, nor will compensation be taken from it. So no compensation is going to help. That maybe they had earned so much in their worldly life that they even owned the whole islands. Yet these achievements carry no value on that day and are not going to be any compensation. وَلَا هُمْ يُنصَرُونَ, nor will they be aided. They will not be helped. No one will be helping them. We learn in Suratul Ma'arij. And no friend will ask anything of a friend. They will be shown each other. The criminal will wish that he could be ransomed from the punishment of the day by his children, and his wife, and his brother, and his nearest kindred who shelter him, and whoever is on the earth entirely, so then it could save him. So the criminals will want, even if their families could be punished in their place, they want to be saved from the punishment. It means we have to save ourselves, that we do not end up with displeasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that nothing is left for us on that day, as we need our Rabb always, and we need Him the most on that day. We learn in Surah Al-Najm, وَأَلَّيْسَ لِلْإِنسَانِ إِلَّا مَا سَعَى, and that there is not for man except that good for which he strived, and that his effort is going to be seen. Then he will be recompensed for it with the fullest recompense, and that to your Rabb is the finality. وَإِذْ نَجَّيْنَاكُم مِّنْ آلِ فِرْعَوْنَ يَسُومُونَكُمْ سُوءَ الْعَذَابِ يُذَبِّحُونَ أَبْنَاءَكُمْ وَيَسْتَحْيُونَ نِسَاءَكُمْ وَفِي ذَلِكُمْ بَلَاءٌ مِّن رَّبِّكُمْ عَظِيمٌ. And recall when we saved your forefathers from the people of Pharaoh, who afflicted you with the worst torment, slaughtering your newborn sons and keeping your females alive. And in that was a great trial from your Rabb. Now, Bani Israel are being reminded of different phases of their history, the situation they had to face due to their own behaviors, and then the help and favors they got from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Bani Israel ended up in Egypt when Yaqub alayhi salam, also called Israel, slave of Allah. He got settled in Egypt when his son Yusuf alayhi salam called all of them to settle in Egypt. They lived there for hundreds of years, and out of 12 sons of Yaqub alayhi salam, 12 tribes of Bani Israel were established. At first they were honorable people of Egypt, but gradually, due to their leaving their religious grounds and getting involved in worldly desires, forgetting their religious duties, they became a burden over the community and finally were enslaved by Egyptians. Not just that they were enslaved, but were given a very terrible, humiliating kind of life. But why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions this to Bani Israel at the time of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam? At the very beginning of the mention of history of Bani Israel, the most difficult time of theirs is being mentioned. This is due to great wisdom. Very obvious message is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala helped you, O Bani Israel, greatly when you were completely helpless. So be grateful. And another message is that when people do not change their ways, they end up with such terrible times. At the time of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Jews were living in the outskirts of Medina, waiting for the last prophet to come. They were at that time living a good life. So they are being reminded that have the advice and mend your ways, as disobedience causes great troubles for the whole nations. وَإِذْ نَجَّيْنَاكُم مِّنْ آلِ فِرْعَوْنَ, and recall when we saved you from the people of Pharaoh. The word najjayna, noon jim waw, it means to save, but the word has been used in the form of najjayna instead of anjayna, indicating gradual saving bit by bit. Especially after Musa alayhi salam came to Bani Israel as a prophet, their difficult situation had different phases. As people of Pharaoh were also having hard times by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, so that they also changed themselves and turned towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But what was the hardship people of Pharaoh used to give to them? Yasumunakum su al adab, who afflicted you with the worst torment. They were causing them great trouble by killing their baby boys and keeping their women alive. So they used to kill the baby boys when they were just born and let the girls grow so that there are no men to protect them and they can use and misuse the women. وَفِي ذَلِكُمْ بَلَاءٌ مِّن رَبِّكُمْ, and in that was a great trial from your Rabb. Surely this was a great, great test and trial. Life is a test for us in both forms, whether it is through hardship or ease. So, in the hardships, there was trial and test for Bani Israel. And then this favor of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that they finally got rid of them was also a test that how Bani Israel will behave now. Moreover, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala relates this to himself that this trial was from Allah. So no one can harm or benefit us until Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala lets it happen. And people do face hard times and sufferings at the hands of others, as this world is a place of test. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allows people and do not forcefully holds them from doing what they want to do, as otherwise there cannot be any test. If every oppression is to be addressed there and then. But yet, allowance is not given but in a limit and for the time being. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala caused the conditions to change. But every single oppression will be addressed individually in detail on the day of judgment. This should give us the understanding that how great that day will be. How terrifying the situation will be when I have to see the consequences that was caused by even a little gesture of mine. Can I afford to disobey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that on the day of judgment I see the consequences of my own wrongdoings and the wrongdoings of hundreds or thousands or maybe millions of others as well, for whom I made the disobedience easy, as I myself was disobeying? So I ended up with the whole disobeying communities, the whole disobeying nations, and a bad example for other nations that they don't even think about coming close to Islam as our image is stopping them. Ma'azallah. So, can I afford to disobey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and go in front of Him carrying all these burdens on me? وإذ فرقنا بكم البحر فأنجيناكم وأغرقنا آل فرعون وأنتم تنظرون. And recall when we parted the sea for you and saved you and drowned the people of Pharaoh while you were looking on. And then, after several reminders, tests, trials, hardships, the people of Pharaoh, their time of alliance came to an end. Musa alayhi salam was commanded to take all of his people out of Egypt, so they were on a flee and Ali Fir'aun followed them. At one point, there was the sea right in front of Bani Israel, while Ali Fir'aun coming to catch them on the other side. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala caused the sea to open up apart for Bani Israel, that both the ends became like huge water waves, mountains, and a dry patch in between, so they could cross it. They did cross it, and Ali Fir'aun came after them. They also tried to cross the sea, but the sea listens to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as He is the creator of it. It became back into its original condition, and all of them got drowned, while Bani Israel were looking themselves. So it was a source of satisfaction for them, as such tyranny they faced at their hands, and they could see the consequences of such tyrant people. And also they felt safe that no one is coming after them now. So in this ayah, with the root letters Noon, Jim, Waw, the word Anjayna has been used, which means to save fully and completely from someone. Alhamdulillah. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك